Hi, you're listening to Black Flag. I'm Thomas Miller, and this is my co-host.
And Timothy Wehrman.
Today we're going to be talking about, obviously, a review of the Spa circuit, and hopefully a reasonably accurate preview of the upcoming Monza circuit in Italy.
Yeah, so last week we had the rather exciting Belgium Grand Prix. So practice was a little bit plain, but qualifying was definitely a lot more interesting. I don't think anyone ever expected Force India to even get into the third qualifying sector, let alone stick it on pole position.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they've got a good car, especially now after having improved it. And Fisichella is a good driver. He's not a top quality driver, but he's definitely a good driver. So I reckon we can, aside from the fact he's now in Ferrari, we could have seen a lot more from Force India, but I think they're a little screwed now.
I don't know. I mean, Fisichella, like I said, as we were chatting before the show, anyone who can get points in a Minardi is an absolute legend. But I don't think you can rule out Adrian Sutil. The guy is just... Do you remember before Mark Webber won and his luck in a Formula One car? Well, I think since he won, that's now gone to Adrian Sutil. I mean, he's been in the points several times before, and nearly every time he gets in the points, Kimi Raikkonen just decides, no, we're not having that, and takes him out.
Marvellous grudge match.
Fourth place in Monaco, wiped out by Kimi Raikkonen crashing into the back of him. Fourth place in, I think it was Germany, possibly. Kimi Raikkonen took him out. He was running pretty well in Belgium. Got tangled up in the first corner incident.
I don't know. I think this is... I really don't think Sutil is a particularly noteworthy driver. I mean, this year he's hit, five or six 17th place, and then a 16th place as well. I mean, he's really not on form, especially this year.
Yeah, but if you look at his qualifying, I mean, last week, Belgium Grand Prix, qualified 11th. He was... Okay, he was... at the end of the session, he was a fair bit off Nico Rosberg, who was 10th. But, I mean, he got there. He got 11th. He nearly got into the top 10. And it's not the first time that's happened. And let's face it, especially going off last year's performance, how many people would have expected them to get out of the first qualifying session? And now, here we are, 5 races left till the end of the season. Fisichella sticks it on pole. Adrian gets it into 11th. You were always going to, taken out of account accidents, you were always going to get a good result from that weekend, despite the fact that, the track's 2 mile long. Takes nearly 2 minutes to get round. Well, nearly a minute 50 seconds to get round, depending on what you're driving. So, I mean, it was always going to go well, but the other thing you got to talk about from qualifying is the fact that Luca Badoer, in his Ferrari, came last.
Badoer always comes last. I mean, I think a lobotomized chimp would drive better than him.
I think that's, a little unfair, but, you know. He's had 2 races, and he's come last in both of them, and qualified... I can't remember where he qualified for Singapore, but he qualified last.
He qualified last.
And I mean, it was mentioned on BBC's show that they had a quick look through their archives, and they couldn't find the last time that Ferrari had qualified dead last without any penalties. So, I mean, that says a lot about him.
Yes, he is not a very good driver. He finished the race in last place, 14th, but only by the fact that 6 other drivers retired, with 102 seconds more than on Raikkonen. That's ridiculously bad.
Well, I mean, going back to the qualifying, he qualified just under 0.3 of a second slower than Romain Grosjean. Both have been test drivers. Badoer's been a test driver for 10 years. Grosjean, I think when Badoer started test driving, was probably only about 12. and yet he's got all the way up into Formula One, and is still like nearly 0.3 of a second faster than the guy in qualifying. So, I mean, let's go with the one of the other rookies. Well, he's in his second season, I think. And you've got Sebastian Buemi, who was as close to a second as you can want, really, faster than him. Al-Jawsari in his third Grand Prix, nearly a second faster.
I quite liked that guy. I think we can expect a lot from him.
Yeah, give him a couple of races to get settled in, possibly a season, and then get him into a decent car. And yeah, I agree. Good things can come from him. He's not been bad in qualifying. I mean, okay, his first one he went out, but it's his first Grand Prix session in a Formula One car. He qualified it. He actually put a time in. What more could you ask from the guy?
Well, I don't think he's going to be epic top quality kind of stuff. I mean, Lewis Hamilton on his first ever race, well, didn't he win? But I mean, I think he's going to be a good driver generally.
So I mean, okay, we'll move on to the race now. Then of course you had the accident at the top of Leclerc.
4 players down in one shot. It was spectacular.
Well, it gets even better because, there was Al-Jawsari and Hamilton, and Grosjean and Button had what was effectively 2 separate accidents. And after the race, Grosjean said, despite crashing into the back of Button, that the whole thing was Jenson Button's fault.
Button. Did you see Button after that happened? He was pissed.
He did look a bit cheesed off, but I think it's a bit cheeky of Grosjean to turn around and go, well, actually, it was your fault. I mean,
it was quite funny because when those first 2 cars collided, Button was trying to he saw what was going on and he started trying to get out of the way of the oncoming sort of collision, clusterfuck. But he got hit, didn't he? He got hit from behind.
Yeah, Grosjean pretty much just outbraked himself, went straight to the back of Button, and then Hamilton tried to avoid that. And in avoiding that, Al-Jawsari came in and crashed into Hamilton. As far as I'm concerned, there's no reason to try and point blame at anyone else apart from Grosjean. It's very rare that an accident is caused by the guy in front, unless, for some reason, they just suddenly slam on the brakes for absolutely no reason at all. But, I mean, Button didn't seem to slam on the brakes. Grosjean just wasn't paying attention or just got a bit too confident in the car and went straight into the back of him. And then, like I say, Hamilton and Al-Jawsari, trying to avoid it, crashed into the pair of them.
Okay, so we lost 6 drivers in that race.
Yeah, the
truly a little later on. But
Alonso even later.
Who was the last one?
Alonso.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what he went out for.
Neither can I. I'm just trying to find out right now.
Well, either way, 6. Not only 6 drivers, but 6 of most of them being really good drivers. I mean, we had basically the top 4. We got Alonso, Button, Hamilton. Well, truly, probably not top 4, but definitely 2 previous world champions, and it looks to be probably this year's world champion, all taken out in the race, and that led. I reckon that probably led to the very odd mixture of people in the top 5 of the Belgian Grand Prix. So we had Raikkonen up at first, that was good. Fischer-Keller, a brilliant performance by him, 0.9 seconds on Raikkonen, which he just held for the whole race. Then Vettel, Kubica and Heidfeld in 3rd, 4th and 5th.
I mean, as was said when I was watching the race, Ferrari did say that the reason that Kimi wasn't slowing down was because Fischer-Keller was that fast.